Okay, so that means you've, Abby. So have you been able to practice?
I've not been able to practice though, but I'll try that out this night. It
All
hasn't
right.
been constant, so I've just been able to get my system charged.
Oh, okay. All right. No problem. Thank you. How about Isoken? I hope you've been able to. If you are there, how are you?
Good evening,
Isoken,
Favor.
good evening. How are you
Yeah,
doing?
very well, thank you. So I was
Oh,
speaking
okay.
on mute.
Oh, okay. It's
Yes,
fine.
yes, I have, but I've not had time to practice. I'm still stuck to it work.
Oh, okay. All right. But you've been able to install SQL Server and there was no issue.
No, there was none.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you. Just to go straight to the point, I hope if you are here and you had issues installing the tool that was used yesterday or you've not installed it at all, please you can signify by raising your hands. Okay. Oladamila, what's going on? Why have you not been able to install the software?
I think it's my operating system, but I've sent it to Mr. James on WhatsApp.
Oh, okay. What kind of PC, what kind of PC are you using? Are you using a Mac?
No, HP.
Oh, okay, okay. All right. So please, you can also send the error code across to me, and I will gladly help look into it, and as well my other colleagues could help with that as well. All right. So I'd like somebody in 2 minutes to give us a recap of what we learned yesterday before we go into today's work. In 2 minutes, please give us a recap of what we learned yesterday. In 2 minutes, a recap of what we learned yesterday. In 2 minutes.
All right, let me do just that.
Okay, Abdullah, please go on.
All right, so yesterday we had introduction to SQL, which
Okay.
is structured query language, and we
Okay.
learned that SQL is a language that helps communicate with database systems. So, like SQL is a language that we have tools that we use as medium to communicate. So I learned about primary keys in SQL and how we can narrow down primary keys. So in form of using uh, so aside that, I also learned how to introduce data, like how to input data in SQL manually. So those are the
Mhm.
little things I was.
All right. Thank you very much. Can we have one more person aside Abdullah? Tell us what it is that they learned yesterday as well.
Okay, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Yeah, we talk about the how to create the database, how to create tables, how to alter the tables, how to add rows to the table that has been created before. And I followed as you are doing it with my SQL because I've installed it yesterday. So that was what I did.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Thank you very much for the feedback. So today we are going to be going straight into um where we left off yesterday because I would not like us to take much more time and just get straight into the work. So yesterday, as Abdullah and one of my friends that spoke earlier rightly said, mentioned about the fact that yesterday we started an introduction to SQL. We clarified the fact that SQL in itself is a language, while SQL Server, the tool that we're using, is the software that allows us to communicate to databases and database objects using um, SQL language. Now, yesterday we were able to create databases and also create tables within those databases using code. Now, today we are going to be continuing from where we picked up. First things first, whenever you want to open a to operate within a database, if you want to open a file that you created from before, you can just click on the database that you want that file to reference. Go to the file tab, and then open. When you click on the open folder, when you click on the open folder, this will take you to your documents folder where you would be able to see your code if you have it saved in your file. Now, today we are going to be, yesterday I stopped on the DRL commands where I said DRL stands for data retrieval sublanguage, and under that we find mainly the where clause in which we can use to bring in to query from our table using certain conditions. So today I'm going to continue with the work from yesterday. Let me open a new query so we can start from there. I want to open the file from yesterday. Okay. Okay. I want to open the file from yesterday. Please give me a moment. File. Okay. All right. So these are the series of codes we were able to run yesterday. We created tables yesterday, and also we were able to as well fill up those tables with values. We were also able to fill up those tables with values. Now, yesterday I had already started explaining the GRL and DQL sublanguage, of which we then start to talk about the where clause. I hope I'm still audible, please.
Yes,
So
yes.
today, all right. So today we are going to be proceeding the DRL. We are going to be talking about the DRL command and also functions in SQL. Now, yesterday, having created these tables that we created, having created these tables, we were able to not just create these tables, but also populate these tables. And if you remember from yesterday, we created four tables. We created four tables: the directors table, the movies table, the actors table, and the movie revenue table. And I said yesterday, while we're about to complete the class, that as we go on, it gets more and more exciting. Now, yesterday when I started with the DRL commands, I said we use the DRL to retrieve data from a table. And most times, when we talk about DRL, we are talking about the where clause, or some people call it a filter. I gave an example yesterday that if I'm sending Isoken to the kitchen, it is going to be select all from the kitchen because that's the location. However, if I say that she should go to the kitchen and pick a spoon, a blue spoon, if I want to write that in SQL now, it's going to be select spoon from kitchen where color or where spoon color equals blue. What I've just done is that I've specified not just that I want a spoon, but that I want a blue spoon. Now, the DRL helps us to filter using certain conditions through the where, and let me say with the where. So these are certain commands or filter conditions that partner with the where command to get us what we are looking for. So having shown us how where works, I'm going to start with an introduction of some ways where we can use where. And I'm going to start with logical operators. Using logical operators with where. Using logical operators with where. I uploaded the materials and the codes from yesterday, and I'm just going to continue in the same manner today. That is, at the end of every class, the code is going to be available, uploaded to the classroom, while the recording is also uploaded on the YouTube platform. Now, for using logical operators with the where clause, firstly, from our Excel class, can somebody remind me what logical operators are from there? Or maybe logical functions as you learned them. What are logical operators, or should I say functions, that you learned from the Excel class? If you are speaking, please go ahead and speak. If you are speaking, please go ahead and speak. What did you learn about logical functions, or should I say logical operators, from the Excel class?
All right, we have
Okay.
uh, and I think we also have or.
Okay.
Yeah, basically those two, but the predominant one is the and function.
All right. Thank you very much for that. Now, one of the reasons why it's advisable to start your analytical journey with Microsoft Excel is because it opens you up to a very good foundation that would be useful as you go across every other tool. Now, from the moment where we finish DRL and we go into functions, you're going to see that most of these functions are things that you might or must have already learned if you learned Excel properly. So now, for the and or, if you spoke earlier, I'd like you to also be the one to speak now. What do we use and for, and what do we use or for?
Well, for or is an extension of let's take for example, just like using sets to explain now. If you have elements
Okay.
in A and B, when you
Yeah.
say A or B, so it means what you are talking about. Once it is in either of the two of them, it will bring out the results, or it will somehow it will bring out the results as it were. So far, it belongs to any of the two. Let me say the two things that you are referring to. Okay, take for example, if we talk about the manager, let's say manager and customer. So if we say we are picking a name, we are picking anything or any logical sometimes we are saying or this. So we are saying that okay, you can pick from this first set, or you also pick from the second set. Anyone you pick from is not an issue. But when you are using an and function, it is strictly, it doesn't go beyond the boundaries of whatever you type there, and it strictly maintains how the pattern at which you have actually called at the function. I'm looking for a perfect example to actually use for. Uh, I don't really have an example in my head now to actually explain, but if I want to use them in anything, I know the one
Okay.
to actually.
All right. Maybe I come in that regard so I can simplify for you. Thank you, John Beloved. Um, Now, okay. Adenike wants to contribute. Adenike, please go ahead.
Let me continue from where he stopped. And
Okay.
it means the two statements must be true if you want
Mm,
to positive results. Like talking from directors now. Let's say the
yeah.
nationality of the person. We said
Mm,
Nigeria. If the person is Nigeria and the person is the director of dash, if the person is in Nigeria and the person is not a director, it will not bring any
Mm.
result because the two are
Yeah.
not. I think that's the
Mm.
end.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. That just perfectly sums up what John Beloved was trying to say earlier. Now, you use and when you have two or more conditions that must be met for us to get a positive result. And we use or when at least one of multiple conditions must be met to return a positive result. Now, the rule also applies for using and for to filter. Now, take for example, if you want to select, if you want to return movies, Chinese movies, if you want to return Chinese movies with a PG age certificate, or let's say with an age certificate of 15, with an age certificate of 15 from the movies table. The first thing we're going to do is that we're going to say, okay, select. Now, whenever you write your select, go and indicate from, and then the name of the table that you're going to be calling from. This case is the movies table. So from the movies table, select all from here. This is where the retrieval, then the filter comes into play. That is where the age certificate equals 15, and you can write it on the same line as this code, or you can decide to write it on another line. It's still going to work fine. Say, and the movie language equals Chinese. Now, if I run this, what this means is that for any movie to show in our results here, it has to meet the condition of having an age certificate of 15 and a movie language that's Chinese. So if I select this and execute it, you see that there's one movie from the movies table that meets this condition. Now, so like Adenike rightly said earlier, we use and when we have two conditions that must, two or more conditions that must all be met to get a positive result. I'm going to use it in one more scenario. I'm going to use it in one more scenario because in SQL, you can use more than one logical operator in the same query. A good example of this would be when we have three conditions that must be true. Now, let's say we want to return movies, return Japanese movies from this same movies table. We want to return Japanese movies with an age certificate of 15 and directed by director ID 27. Now we already have three conditions here. We already have three conditions here. If we say select from the movies table, from the movies table, where you can start with any of the conditions. You can say where the movie language is Japanese. This should be to select all. Where the movie language is Japanese and the age certificate is 15, we can input another and here to take the last condition that the director ID is 27. I won't put the 27 in quotes because it is an integer data type. Now, you can decide to run this and on the same line as the Japanese and it will still work. But most times, it makes your code easier to read if you break it. Now, if I run this, despite having multiple ands, this is still going to work. Now, the reason why this is not returning a result is because director ID 27 does not have any Japanese movies directed. A very good scenario of this, again, would be to change the language. If I say English now, if I say English now and I change the movie language to English, if I run this, there you go. Now, for the or, for the or, we use or when we have multiple conditions and at least one of them must be met. Still under filters, that is the where clause, under data retrieval subcommands. Now, if we want to select, if we want to return Japanese or English movies, so we're just going to select all from the movies table where the movie language equals English. I'm going to write this on the same line just so we see that it works, or the movie language equals Japanese. So if I run this now, what this will mean that for you to appear in this result, you have to meet either of these conditions that we have said. There must either be an English movie or a Japanese movie. So if I execute this, if you look at the results, all of the movies that are here are either English movies or Japanese movies. So I hope we now clearly understand, just to further buttress our knowledge on or and. Moving further, under the DRL commands and how to filter using where, we also have arithmetic operators. We also have the arithmetic operators, that is the relational operators. Now, can somebody tell me what relational operators are and give me examples of relational operators? Can somebody tell me what relational operators are and give me examples of relational operators? If you are
Okay.
raising your hand, you can speak.
Okay. Let me just try. I think
Oh,
relational
okay.
operator, they relate two statements together, like greater than,
Hmm.
less than, like
Hmm.
greater than, less than, greater than, equal to, less than or equal to. But the
Hmm.
arithmetic are plus, minus, like that, like that. Like, that's what I can
Thank
remember.
Thank you. That's a fantastic answer. Now, when we're talking about relational operators, rightly so, we're talking about operators like this, like the greater than, the less than, the greater than or equal to, and the less than or equal to. Now, like that has just basically defined it to us in the best way possible. Now, whenever we want to use these operators, We can only use them when we are dealing with numeric data types or date data types. Now, I cannot say where the movie language is greater than English or where the movie language is greater than or less than Japanese. So when we are using the relational operators, the column that we are referencing must contain a numeric data type. Now, take for example, if you want to view movies that are longer than 2 hours, first things first, if we select all from the movies table, you see that we have the movie length, and this column is stored in minutes. So that means if we want to view movies that are longer than 2 hours, we're going to just say select from movies. So let's select the movie name and the movie length from the movies table. Now, where this is where the clause then comes in using the relational operator, where the movie length, 2 hours in minutes would be 120, is says longer than, that is greater than 120. Now, whenever you are dealing with numeric data type, you don't have to put it in quotes. But whenever we are dealing with text data types, you ensure that your value is quoted. So I'm going to highlight this, execute it, and you see no answer from this movie length column would be greater than, would be less than 120. Now let me just explore the other relational operators by copying this, because at the end of this class, I'm going to be giving us an assignment. So if I change this and I say less than 120, if you look at the code now, all of the movies that you get would be less than 120 in the duration of each movie. One thing that we might also be familiar with is the greater than and less than. To explain that, I'm going to, now this is less than or equal to. If you use less than or equal to, in this case, it means we are going to start from 120, that's 120 and below. That's less than or equal to. So for this case, 120 is allowed to be part of our results because we've said 120 and below. And if you go to our results, you can see that there's a movie that the movie length is 120. What we have said is 120 and below. That is starting from 120 and below. That's what less than does. Less than or equal to. And then we have greater than or equal to, meaning 120 and above. Meaning 120 and above. So from here as well, we're going to see movies greater than 120, but starting from 120. That okay, from 120 and above. That's why you can see that there's a movie from 120 here and also here within our results. Now, are we still together, please? Do you have any questions so far? Do we have any questions so far? Okay, if you have a question, please you can speak. All right, so I can proceed. All right. Um, I hope you can still hear me. It's okay. Is she there? Can I proceed?
Yes, you can proceed.
Thank you, Lord Lola. All right. Now, moving on from, I said you can use the relational operator when you are dealing with either numbers or dates. Now, looking at the movies table, if you view the movies table, you see that we have a release date column. We have a release date column. Now, in a case where you want to use the relational operator on dates, In case where you want to use the relational operators on dates, if I say greater than a particular date, that is, it will pick a period that are after that time. Take for example, if I say greater than today's date, it will mean days after today. If I say less than today's date, it will mean days before today. So basically, we can use, now take for example, let's say we want to view movies that were released after a particular period. We want to view movies that were released after a particular period. What we are going to do is that we are going to say, firstly, insert a comment and we say viewing movies released after. Now, one thing that you must also note about how data are handled in SQL is that the format is year, month, day. That's the format with which date is recognized as a date inside SQL. Now, so we're going to say movies that were released after 2010. Movies that were released after 2010. And we're going to select the movie name from the movies table. Firstly, let's specify the table name and say from movies. What this helps you to do is that it ensures that SQL knows where to go to look for certain columns. So from the moment you start to type, it auto suggests based on the columns that it finds within that table. So I'm going to select the movie name and the release date. This we are then going to say where the release date after, so that will be greater than, where the release date is greater than, then we put the date in quotes as well. Whenever you want to reference dates in SQL, you have to put the date in quotes. The only time you should not use quotes is when you are dealing with numbers, that is integers, monetary values, decimals. And I'm going to say 2010, the month will be December and the day will be 31st, meaning any day that goes after this is the last day in the year 2010. So let the release date be dates that are after this. I hope you understand this. So if I select this and I execute it, so from the database, these are the movies that were released after this period. As you can see, there is no date here that is less than or that is even in 2010 at all. The same way for this, if we want to view movies that were released before 2010, before 2010, we're going to say where the release date is less than, the value will now change. It will be 1st of January in 2010. While this will reference the last day, this will reference the first day within this. So if you reference this now and we execute it, you see that we will see movies and their release dates. But one thing you will not find here is any movie that was released in 2010, because what we have said is that we want to see movies released before 2010. Now, moving on from the relational operators, one other important way to use filters when retrieving data is the use of the in or the not in filter. The in or the not in filters. We can also use the in and the not in filter when we want to retrieve results. Now, whenever we have multiple values that would like to affect our query, it's best to use in and not in. Now, in a scenario where let me view the actors table. Let me select all from the actors table. So we'll reference that to learn about the in and not in clauses. So I'm going to say select all from the actors table. So if I execute this, good. Now, if you want to view or if you want to see actors that have a certain first name, let me use Tom now, for example. Viewing, so actors with the first name Tom. This is simply going to, we are going to say select the first name and let's also view the last name from the actors table. Now this will be where the first name, where the first name in, let me call out, okay, a name from here. Let me use this Brian Cox, for example. So I'll say where the first name is in Tom, where the first name is in. When you call out the in, then you open the bracket and say, okay, what are the first names that you would like to view? If I'd like to view the names Tom and Peter, I'm going to say Tom as the first value in the in, and then the second name, both in quotes, and then you close the bracket. What this will do is that for you to be included in the query or in the results that the query will display, you need to be in this filter condition that your first name must either be Tom or Peter. If you run this query now, if you run this query, you see that the actors whose name you are seeing are either first names starting with Peter or with Tom. So that's what we use the in clause for. And then, as you must have guessed, the not in clause does the opposite. The not in clause does the opposite. It does the opposite. So if you say where the first name is not in, what it will do is that what you have put in your not in will be excluded. If you look at all the answers, at no point in time will you see any Tom or any Peter returning from this answer. That's for the in and the not in filter. We basically use them to include. Let me just add definition here. We use them to include or exclude certain values in the desired results. Now, moving further from the in and the not in, certain clauses that we can use in SQL for data retrieval. We also have the like, like percentage. We have the like percentage query. Now, whenever we want to use this, We use it in cases where we want to return something that is similar or that is relating to a particular value. Take, for example, if you want to return names of actors, names of actors that start with P, that start with the letter P, what you do is that you select, let's do the first name and the last name from the actors table. From the actors table, we want to select the first name and the last name of actors. Now, where the first name, then we're going to say like, where the first name is like. Now, we'll include the percentage sign, and we can say, we'll put in quotes, say like P, the percentage, like this. Now, look at what this will do to the result. All the names that start with letter P, this is going to return all the names that start with letter P. However, the like sign can be used not just for when a particular column starts with your desired value, or should I say character. It can also be used for scenarios such as this. So the only thing I'm going to change is that I'm going to put the percentage sign before and after the P, run the result, and show you the difference. And show you now what this will do is that it will return every first name that contains the letter P. So while this returns actors that start with letter P, the like percentage here in this case will return any first name that contains the character that you have referenced here. So if you put the percentage sign before and after the value, it will be any first name that even contains the letter P at all. And that's why we have Ralph showing as part of the result. Though Ralph does not start with letter P, it returns as part of our results. I'm taking time to explain the basics so that when it gets a little complex from here, it would not be difficult. Another way to then use the like percentage is in a case like this, where we want to say that absolutely it must contain a particular value. So if I say like Peter now, and I use this will only return where the first name contains Peter. Now, moving on, I've spoken about the like percentage, the in and not in, the relational operators. I've also spoken about the logical operators, still under data retrieval or data query sublanguage. Now, whenever you want to select data that is between two values, take for example, if I want to say people between the age of this, basically like using a numeric range, if you are between the age of 20 and 29, come outside. What I've done is that I've set a range 20 as the minimum, 29 as the maximum. For that kind of scenario, we use the between clause. And like I said, we use it for retrieving data between two values. Now, take for example, I'm going to view the movies table. I'm going to view the movies table, and I'm going to show us a good situation to use the between filter clause. Now, this is the movie length. If I want to select movies that are between a particular length, I'm going to just select the movie name from the movies table. Now, let me also select the movie length. Then I say where. If you notice, where has been coming before most of these conditions, because where is the lead command under the sublanguages that carries the other conditions? Like I gave the example of going to the kitchen to get a blue spoon earlier. So I'm going to say where the movie length, and I'm going to put the between filter here, between 90 and 120. So 90 being our starting value, 120 being our stopping value. That for you to be shown with between this in this query, your movie length must not be less than 90 and it must not be more than 120. If I run this now, the movies that will be returned will not be less than 90, nor will they be more than 120. So quick one before I proceed. Any questions so far? Any questions so far? Before I proceed, or we're good to go? Please, if you're saying, don't just, if you're speaking, don't just use a thumbs up. Okay, Adenike, I see your hand is up.
And I've raised my hand since I don't want to interrupt the class. Plus,
Oh, I'm sorry.
that in and not in, I do not really get it.
Yes. Oh, okay.
It's confusing.
I'll, okay, I'll gladly go over that again. So any other question
Okay.
aside Adenike's question before I go back to that? Any other question aside um Adenike's question? Okay, so it means every other person is good. All
I
right.
have a
So
question too.
all right, Alima, please ask your question.
Yes, I know. So I don't really understand that the like you
Okay.
used. I know you used the like before this between.
Oh, okay. Yes, I did.
Yes, so that's my question. Thank you.
Okay, okay, okay. All right, no problem. No problem. So any other questions? So I can handle them together. Any other questions? Okay. So in the absence of any other question, I'm just going to go back to explain what I had spoken about earlier. All right. So let me start with Adenike's question. Now, the in and not in filters, they are used for inclusion and exclusion. Now, take for example, if I want to run a query to return our names as we are on this call, if I say select first name and last name from attendees, and I say where the first name, and I want it to show just myself, Halima and Adenike, I'll say where the first name is in favor, comma, that's the first value that I want to be included in the desired result. The second value, Alima, the third value, Adenike. What the in filter does is that whatever variable, whatever value you include will be shown in your results. And that's why when I ran this, saying where the first name is in Tom and Peter, and I executed, you see that we have only first names and last names of people that their first name started with either Tom or Peter. That's for in. Now, the not in does the opposite. While in includes, not in excludes. So if you say not in, it means return everything except these values. So if I run this not in with the same names, what it is going to do will be the reverse case, as it will exclude any first name that starts with Tom or any first name that starts with Peter. So, Adenike, is that clear? Please respond verbally.
Yes, yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you. Now, for Alima's question. Now, the like filter, what it does is that it returns, it is used for selecting certain values based on a character. Now, take for example, if I want to find names that start with a particular character, the like is just like if you say, it looks like, okay, where the first name like. However, for like, we can use it for different scenarios. And that's where the position of the percentage sign then comes in. That's where the position of the percentage sign comes in. If you want it to return, in this case now, the name of actors that start with letter P, all you have to do is say like P, put the percentage sign after the P, meaning any name, any first name that you see that starts with letter P. So if I run this now, you will see that all the first names all start with P. That's what the like character and the percentage after does. Now, for the second scenario, if the first name contains P at all, that is, if it contains that character, or should I say that alphabet, say like, if it contains that alphabet at all, that's why the positioning of the percentage is not just after, but before and after. Now, anywhere, any first name where you find P inside, return it. And that's why you see that here you have Ralph. Ralph does not start with P, but it contains P. That's why we are getting it as part of our result in this case. Now, I'm saying that aside like being able to return what it starts with, if it contains that value, it can also return absolutely just like your in. This is working just like your in. Okay, this Peter, we want to see names that starts with. This is just as simple as saying where first name equals Peter here. So if you run this, you only see actors with the first name Peter. So are we good with that, Alima?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Oh, okay. Pleasure is mine. Now, moving on, moving on. For the between, I already explained the between that we use it for retrieving data between two values. You can say between a range. One thing about the between filter is that not only can we use it on numbers, we can also use it on dates. Now, take for example, if you want to say I made so amount between this period to this period is valid, we can use it on a date. Now, if we select the movies table, that is, if we try to view the movies table, I just want to view the movies table, see the release date. Okay, good. We can use the between to find movies that were released within a particular period. So let's say returning movies, returning movies released between, let's go 2000 to 2010. Now, to write this, this will look like this. From the movies table, let this return the movie name and the release date from the movies table, where the release date, the release date is between 2000. For the dates, you have to quote it 2000 and 2010, the month should be December. And so if you run this now, this will return movies that were released between this period, or should I say within this period. So these are scenarios with which we can use the between. Now, if you look at the results, starting from none of our results here should be less than 2000, and none of our results should be more than 2010. And that's why you see that we have. Now, this will bring me, I've already spoken about the like percentage, the between, in and not in, also spoken about the logical operators, the relational operators for filtering results. Now, it does not stop there. When it comes to data retrieval, one of the things that you must also be able to do is to know how to order results, is to know how to order results. And this will bring us to another clause in SQL. So I'm going to say ordering results, ordering results using order by. Now, just like where order by in itself is also a command. Now, in a situation where you want to order your results in a particular order, whenever results are returned, you can order them in two ways, either from the least value to the highest value, or from the highest value to the least value. Take, for example, if you are dealing with text, the natural ordering would be from A to Z. I'm very sure we did sorting and filtering in Microsoft Excel. So what I'm saying is not going to be strange to us at all. Now, order by in your query most times will come after your from, if you don't have a where, or after your where. Now, for this case, I'm going to try to use order by, and I'll try to use it on text and use it on numbers. So I'm going to say viewing actors by their age. I want to view actors by their age. So I'm going to say select all from from the actors table. From the actors table. So let's go first name. Let's filter this. Last name, and let's do their date of birth. Now, two things about order by is for you to use order by, whatever column you want to order by must have been included in your select. If you do not select all, then that column must be specifically mentioned within your select command. So if you want to order them by their date of birth now, it's going to be ordered by date of birth. And like I mentioned before, there are two ways in which SQL orders results. It either does it in ascending order or in descending order, descending from highest to lowest, ascending from lowest to highest. Naturally, if you don't alter the order, it will return your answer. It will return your answer in ascending order. That is from the least, or in terms of the dates now, from the earliest to the latest. From here, we can see as far back as 1901 and 1999. Now, if you want to flip this the other way around, then after order by the column that you like to order by, then you put descending by saying DESC. You say DESC, that is, I want you to order this in descending order. Now, just take a quick glance at the result that we got before. Now, if I then select this again and I execute and say, what it will do is that it would flip the table on its head and start to order from the what would have been the latest value from the date. I'm going to use order by again, just so we get more familiar with it. I'm going to use order by again, just so we get more familiar with it. Now, let's say again that we want to select, we want to view movies from A to Z, the movies from A to Z. We're going to select or from the movies table, from the movies table, and then we're going to say order by. What order by is concerned with is the ordering, or should I say the arrangement of your results. In a case where you want to, based on, you want to arrange to meet certain conditions, then we need order by. So order by, I'm going to say the movie name. If I don't signify that I want it in descending order, if you want to signify that you want ascending, you can go ASC for ascending. However, by default, the result will be arranged. I'm going to write ASC now, and you see that the movie, it will order this using the movie name from A to, if there was Z, this would go to Z, but we have W here. If I remove the ascending order here, the result would be the same because by default, SQL arranges in ascending order. Can you see that the result is still the same? The only thing that would make the ordering to be altered is if you go ahead and signify that you don't want to do A to Z anymore. What you want to do is now Z to A. So I'm going to highlight this, copy it, paste it, and then say, okay, no longer A to Z. Let's do Z to A. If I select this now, execute, then you have the values once I signify descending order here. If I run this, you see that the values are being flipped by the movie name from W to A. Any questions so far, or I can move on? Any questions so far, or I can move on? Let me check if anyone has. Okay, so Oluwadamilola Adebowale, I can move on.
Yes, you can move on, sir.
All right, thank you. In the absence of questions, now for data retrieval, for data retrieval, one key thing, they are also limiting, or should I say, other clauses that we use for filtering and retrieval. And I'm going to talk about two of them now. We have top and distinct. We have top and distinct. These are also two clauses that we can use to manipulate our desired result. Now, take for example, if we want to return the top 5 youngest actors, if we want to see the top 5 youngest actors, if we want to see the top 5 youngest actors, what we can do in this case, this is where the top comes in. Say select top. Top is going to come immediately after select. Then we signify the number. That is now what top does is that it limits your desired result to the value that you input. So if you have 100, once you say select top and you say maybe top 5 or top 7 or top 3, what you do is limit that result to show just 5 or show just 3. In this case, we want to see the top 5 from, let this be the actors table, and we're going to say the first name, the last name, and let's also view their date of birth. Let's also view their date of birth. Now, if we decide to run this, look at what we are going to get. We have 5 actors. This is giving us 1978, 1953, 1935, 1994, and however, we want to see the youngest. We want to see the youngest actors. To do that, we are going to need to use order by. Order by is the one that then partners with top to get you what you want. If I say order by, the column that is concerned here is the date of birth column. Now, order by date of birth. If I run this automatically, this is going to give in ascending order. Somebody that is born in 1901 cannot be the youngest. That means top does the limiting, order by does the filtering. So if you want to see the value in a particular order, is order by that does the work. So you say order by date of birth, and we need to include the arrangement order to say descending. It is order by that we then do the work of flipping to say, okay, these are what are the values that are figured to be the youngest. Now we'll see we have someone that was born in 1999, 1996, 1995, and thereabouts. This is the actual youngest. I'm going to use another example. Let's say we want to view the top 7 movies by their length. I want to view the top 7 movies by their length. I'm going to say select from, this will be the movies table. I'm going to select the movie name and then select the movie length. Now, top is going to come and say, okay, we want to view the top 7. If I don't include order by here, this will just give a random result of 7 limited, of 7 based on their movie name. However, if I want it to get the top 7, I'm going to order by and then I'll say movie length. That is, if you're going to give me this result, let it be arranged using the movie length column and in descending order. So if you run this, now we will have the longest movies, like the top 7. Here we go. I don't know if we have any questions so far or are good to go? Okay. In the absence of questions, I'm just going to proceed. Now, while the order by works with stop, we then have the second clause that is the distinct clause, the distinct clause. Now, take for example, let's say we want to view, if you want to view a particular column, if you want to view a column without repetition, that is when we use the distinct. If you want to view a particular column without repetition, that's when we use distinct. Now, take for example, if we want to see all the movie languages that we have, if you want to see all the movie languages without any repetition, we are going to use the distinct. Say select distinct movie language from the movies table. From the movies table, let's select distinctly the movie language. Now, I'm going to try to run this without any addition. Can you see that we now have all the movie languages shown distinctly? No repetition. No repetition at all. If I want to say not just the movie language, let me view all from the movies table to see what else I can test the distinct clause on. Okay, let's say we want to see the distinct age certificates as well. Let's say we want to see the distinct age certificate as well. I can say select distinct movie language and also the age certificate. So if I run this now, this will, for every age certificate, give us the movie language. I don't know if you got that. Now, seeing what we use top and distinct for, this will bring me then to explaining functions in SQL. Functions in SQL. Now, when you learned function in Excel, can you remind me how many function types you learned? Okay, Abdullah, you have a question, please. I'm with you.
All right, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
When you were working with the extent now,
Yes.
so you said you only return a single response. So,
Yes.
and I noticed that under the movie language, so we
Yes.
have Chinese appearing twice, English appearing more than 4 times. So I want to ask that, is it that this thing works only with uh, values like numbers, doesn't work with text strings, or how does it work?
Oh, okay. Thank you for asking that question. Now, first, first things first. For this, each of these results are still unique because we have selected two columns. The movie language is Chinese, but if you look at the age certificate column, there is no repetition here for any of these languages. Now, for Chinese, the age certificate is different here. Despite the fact that there's Chinese here again. So we can see that the Chinese movie language falls under two different age certificates. So the result is just to the age certificates that exist. If I delete the movie language now and I select just the age certificate, all we will get will be the distinct age certificate 12, 15, 18, PG. and you. So Abdullah, did that give better context to how this thing works now?
Yes, I understand. I understand. Yes, sir.
All right. So can I proceed, or you want to ask something else?
No, you can't proceed. You can't proceed.
All right. Now, thank you. Now, I'm going to be giving us a DRL assignment though. So after tonight's class, I'll be uploading it to. I know we are still working on our on our Power BI for some of us, so it's not going to be something too serious. It's just to ensure that what you learn tonight can be put into practice. Now, functions in SQL. Functions in SQL. Now, is there anybody here that can remind me of the types of functions that we learned from our Excel class? The types of functions that we learned from our Excel class.
Aggregate functions.
Aggregate functions. What did
Lookup function.
lookup functions?
Yes, index.
Okay. Index falls under
Lo-
lookup functions. So what other category of lookup functions did we learn? Aggregate lookup. Joy, you want to say
Logical.
something? Logical
Logical.
functions. Okay. And let me call somebody that has not spoken today at all. Um, where is Faith? Faith, are you there? You've not spoken at all today.
Yes, please.
Okay. So I was asking the types of functions that we learned in Excel. They've mentioned aggregates, logical, lookup. Which other lookup function did you learn from Microsoft Excel?
In Excel.
Yes, in Excel.
Um, those are the ones that I recall.
Okay. So the ones they mentioned are the ones that you recall.
Yes.
Abdullah, come to our rescue, please. Thank you, Faith. All right. So Abdullah, they mentioned lookup, logical, and aggregate. Can you help me add more? Can you help me add more to that? Abdullah, if you're saying something, you're muted.
Yeah, I don't know. We learned some text functions too.
Okay,
Like
text
we
functions.
made proper
Okay.
upper, lower, trim, and all of those.
Thank you. Thank you. So I think, we learned text functions, date functions, lookup functions, logical functions. So, Abi, credits to Miss Emanuela for a job well done in that regard. Thank you, Abdullah, for that as well. Now, a majority of these functions that you learned in Excel also exist in SQL. Here as well, and we know that functions are predefined formulas. That is, they are follow come formulas that can do certain things. So for this, we have the functional types we are going to be looking at. We have the aggregate functions. We have the aggregate functions here. We have the text or the string functions. The text functions can also be called string functions. Here we'll also be looking at the date functions, and we'll look at the case functions. Now, the case functions are what you would call conditional or logical functions from Excel. So let me just put in brackets or logical functions. Okay. So still to now, do you get this? So I'm just going to save this so that I'll be able to send it across to us again at the end of the class. Now, let's start with aggregate functions. Let's start with aggregate functions. From Excel, please can somebody tell me what aggregate functions are? Can somebody tell me what aggregate functions are?
Sum.
Mm. Don't give me examples. Tell me what aggregate functions themselves do. What do we use aggregate functions for?
This
What do we use aggregate functions for? Who is speaking? If you're speaking, please speak to me. Okay. Breakthrough, please go
Okay.
ahead.
For summarizing,
Okay, for summarizing.
like averages,
Okay.
sums, count.
yes.
Okay, okay. Breakthrough, you seem to have an opinion as well. Please go ahead.
Okay, like the sum function now is an aggregate function. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Okay. Now, basically, aggregate functions are functions that we use to perform operations on a set of values, and they return a singular value as a result. One thing I want us to know about aggregate functions in SQL is that they work hand in hand with the select function. Now, I know in our in Excel we learned some aggregate functions such as sum, mean, max, count, average, and quite a few more. In SQL, though, we are going to be learning how to use mean, max, count, average, and sum. So that will make five. Now, are we still together? All right. So moving on here, I'm just going to list the aggregate functions that we're going to be working with. I'm going to list the aggregate functions that we're going to be working with. Count, sum, average, count, sum, average, mean, and max. So I'm going to save this and I'll be sending it across to us. On Abby, unfortunately, guys, I might have to end the class here because my I have power outage and my laptop is going to die shortly. But before I go, I don't know if anybody has questions. And also, would it be convenient for us to meet again this week? Say maybe Sunday evening. Would it be convenient for us?
We have events on Sunday, so we want to prepare tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Can we do Saturday
I think
evening
we
then?
have presented.
Can we do Saturday evening?
Ah, yeah, I will not be available.
Okay.
I don't know.
So you know what we're going to do is instead of having two classes next week, we're going to have three instead. Instead of having two classes next week, we're going to have three instead. I want to thank every one of you for joining in this evening and thank you for making it interactive. Abdullah, it's okay. At least I know a few people from here, and your voices are always constantly in my head. Please bear with me. Thank you so much. So that means I'm going to see you once again, and you'll be expecting an assignment from me, right?
Noted. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your evening then.
Thank you.
Thank you.